So today is the murli of December 15th, and you can see that next to me there's a Christmas tree because we are just a few days away from the Christian Christmas. And in the murli today, Baba mentioned Christ. And one of the things that he says, not in this murli, but in many others, that there is a deep connection between Christ and Krishna. So one aspect of it is this kra, which is called the rashi. That's the first syllable of a name. And in the traditions of India, whatever is the first syllable, it has importance. And so the first syllable of Christ and the first syllable of Krishna makes them connected from the point of view of the Rashi. And one of the things that I would like to take up, which comes in the Murli today, is whether or not God sends souls to the earth, because it's widely believed that how you arrive on the earth is because God sends you. And especially within the religions, it is said that God sent a messenger. So, for example, Muhammad is called Muhammad Pegambar, the messenger of God. And Christ is also considered as the messenger of God. And so people of the different religions will say of the founder of that religion, that that soul who is the founder of the religion was sent by God. Nowadays, it has shifted a little bit because nowadays most people think that the messenger is an incarnation of God. And in Hinduism, there is this idea about the many incarnations of God. There are some concepts which say there are 10 incarnations of God, which includes individuals like Krishna, Ram, Buddha, Christ, etc. And there are others which believe there are 24 incarnations. And what we know from the Murli is that God says, well, I come and I do what I have to do. And obviously it works every time. And so there isn't actually any need for a number of tries. Human beings have to try things a few times before they get it right, but that could never apply to God. So the question of the incarnations of God, he very clearly says that no, I come myself once every cycle, at the end of the cycle, for the purpose of establishing true dharma and destroying adharma. And I was having a discussion with some people today about the word dharma. And these are people from India who were very clear that you cannot translate the word dharma into English. There is no actual concept in the English-speaking world of what is covered by the word dharma. And normally speaking, in the Murli, whenever Baba uses the word dharma, it is translated as religion. So you have the Brahman religion, the deity religion, the Hindu religion, the Silver Age religion, and actually none of those can be called religions, but they are called dharma. Now, Christianity is called a religion, and Islam is called a religion, Buddhism is called a religion. When it comes to Hinduism, Baba says that Hinduism is not a religion. And then he usually says, tell me, who is the founder of the Hindu religion? And there is no a specific individual who can be said to have founded the Hindu religion. And then Baba also says that the word Hindu is a geographical name. And the religions, the main religions of the world, are named after the founder of that religion. And so therefore, we can say that it is the way of spirituality that was taught by that founder of that religion in the context of whatever religion was already there. And it commented on the thoughts and beliefs and assumptions that were already there. And then comes the question of why did that founder of a religion come at that time and into that particular context and having that particular history? And Baba talks probably more about the soul of Christ than the other founders of religion. And then he goes on to say that there is a deep connection between Christ and Krishna. But he doesn't really clarify exactly what that connection is. But he says it so many times and in so many different contexts that we need to churn this description that he gives so that we can extract the meaning. And he talked in this murli about the extraction of the essence. And in that particular case, he was talking about the Vedas. So there are many different scriptures in India. There are the 4 Vedas. And then this word Shastra is not the same as scriptures, because the word scriptures covers anything which is considered a religious scripture by any of the religions that use particular volumes of literature as a scripture, which means that it contains knowledge about the religion. So Shastra is one set of scriptures among the many, many scriptures of India. And there are many volumes of what is called the Bhagavad, and that's different from the Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes people get those mixed up, but they're completely different. And then you have the Puranas and the Upanishads and so many different series of volumes of scriptures, which are vast, and many, many different ideas are contained in them, which are not always coherent with each other, not consistent with each other. And one of the things that we find is characteristic of religious scriptures of all the religions is that there are many inconsistencies. And we can understand that the different religions have created scriptures for the study of the people who are part of that religion, which include bits and pieces from the existing religious tradition, and plus stories and sayings and teachings of the founder of that religion. And it's also quite common to find that people of one religion are told by the religious leaders not to go and look at the other religion's material or to go into their places of worship. And I remember I was involved in a project for which part of the project involved taking the students of that project, which was a course, to the different places of worship of the different religions. And for almost all of them, they had never set foot in a place of worship of some other religious faith. And what happens when you create this belief in people that you should not go and visit the other religious places of worship is you get a lot of preconceptions about the other places of worship, and you feel that there's something really bad about doing it and that something bad will happen to you if you do that. So there are many superstitions that are created around that. But Shiv Baba, God, is the father of all souls of all religions. And what he says applies to all the souls of all the religions. And even though there are quite a lot of differences between the religions, what we also know is that all the religions have emerged from India, and everything that is there in India emerged from what God spoke at the time when he spoke. And so he says, I'm the seed of the tree of humanity. And the seed is the information. So sometimes he talks about the knowledge as the seed, and then all of the ideas and traditions under the category of bhakti is called the tree. And so it's lots and lots and lots of ideas, but all of them originate from the same seed. So the thing that I wanted to take up is whether or not God sends souls to earth. Because most of the people of the religions believe that the founder of their religion was sent to earth by God. And I go back to the matter of what God says about himself. And first thing he says is, whatever I do, I only ever have to do it once because it always works. And there's never any need to repeat what he does on the basis that it didn't work the first time, so he has to do it again. And this is what would be the assumption. If he has to send many messengers, it means that it didn't work. So he had to send another one and another one and another one. And this is how people believe. But he says, no, 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 it's not like that. But what is it? So he says that there is a predestined drama, and this drama is made of a variety of religions. And in this particular murli, he talks about the variety of religions who have a presence in India during the history of India. So he's very specific about that. So there are some religions which have a very massive political impact in India, and others which don't. So definitely Buddhism started in India around the area of Patna, and the Buddha was an Indian king, and he gave up his kingdom and became a sage. And during the time when he did this, there were quite a lot of sages, some of whom were from royal families. And so it was not completely uncommon for a king to give up his kingdom and take up the way of spirituality. But the Buddha is known worldwide because the religion that was established from this founder, father of Buddhism, spread very widely and is a big population in the world and a very important influence in thought, the philosophy of karma, the thoughts of the Buddha, the sayings of the Buddha are very well known, very widespread, and many, many people live by this religion. The religions of the Western world generally are described as the Abrahamic religions because the founder seed of all of these religions was Abraham. And Abraham, and if you know anything about the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, you will see that the description of the descendants of Abraham is there. And so out of the seed of Abraham came another seed, which is Christ of Christianity, and then Muhammad and Moses. And so the divisions of these main traditions of Judaism and Islam and Christianity emerge from that. And there is a great deal of similarity between the Bible, Old Testament, the Torah, and the Quran. And if you would not be told by the religious authorities that you should not read the books of other religions and you should not go to their place of worship, then you wouldn't know how close they are, how similar they are. And so it becomes an interesting reason why, you know, that there's no real foundation for religious war, but people become particular about particular differences of theology, and that then makes them find a reason to go to war with each other. But let me focus in on Christ, because Christ was mentioned in the murli today as having been sent by God. And this is what it actually said in the murli, is that people believe that Christ was sent by God. But he never says that I send the Christ soul, or I send the Buddha soul, or I send the Krishna soul. The souls come at their own time, which is predestined in the drama. And the drama, in many ways, is like clockwork. It's really fixed. There's a mechanism of the drama, and everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And this is quite difficult for people to go along with, because it's only when you actually have access to the mind of God and what he says about the whole thing that you can begin to really see how this extraordinary machine of the human world drama, which he says is predestined, it repeats identically, it's a great story of victory and defeat, of success and failure, of the rise and fall of the humanity, mankind, and all the different subplots of the religions. So it is believed that Christ is the Son of God. And there are murlis in which he says, well, all of you are my sons, every single one. And so there was even one murli where he said, okay, we're all the sons of God. And so what are the other ones who do not consider themselves to be Brahma Kumars and Kumaris, who learn about God through the medium of Brahma, which is the corporeal medium through whom Shiv Baba speaks? So he says, well, are they cousins or what? And of course, it's his humor, because he is the father of all souls. All the souls are brothers, but when they come onto the stage of the human world, then all the souls, male bodies, female bodies, so they become brothers and sisters. There are the different races and different religions. And so as the quantity of human beings arrives on the earth, so there is a gradual increase in the variations of beliefs. And I think the largest number of subdivisions of any religion is in Buddhism, so by far the largest number of sub-religions. And if we go to Christianity, we can see that it really became a religion of state. That means a political force in the Roman Empire in the 3rd century. So 300 years after Christ is when the religion actually was codified as a religion. And then that was at the First Council of Nicaea. That's where they set it up. And then 800 years after Christ was the Second Council of Nicaea. So the Bible as we know it was put together at that time. So it's a long, long time after the time of Christ and the time of Jesus. And as time goes by, the different main authorities of each subsection of Christianity, they declare different aspects of the theology of the religion. And as they continue to declare different tenets, different concepts, so the divisions will increase. And one thing that is said about this period of time, which is mentioned in the Gita as the promise of God. So God promises that at the time when there is the extreme of corruption and adharma, then I come and I purify the world and I make it clear what is truth, so that there is no argument or no discussion about what is truth. That means he destroys adharma. So adharma means ideas and concepts that are different from truth. And so it is said that God is truth. And why is it said like that? Because he speaks truth. He introduces himself, so he knows himself. And the other people don't know God. And this is also pointed to, which Baba mentions quite often in the murlis, that is said by the sannyasis, that nobody knows the creator or the creation, or the beginning, middle, and end of creation. So there's a declaration that comes from the sannyasis of India. No one knows. So that means anyone who claims to know is not telling you the truth. But then God himself would definitely be able to describe himself to us. And so the promise in the Gita is that, yes, I do come at the end of the cycle, and I do describe myself and the creation. And so within the creation is also the knowledge of all the other religions. And so it's very interesting that if whatever religion any soul belongs to, they can actually find out about their religion from God. And the founder of every religion, Baba says it's a human soul, but these are called dharmatma. And so they have a special role to be a founder of a religion, and they have a face and a body, and you can depict them. So there are quite a lot of depictions of Jesus Christ. He's very well represented visually. In Islam, it is said that you are not allowed to make any representation of Muhammad, although he must have had a face and a body, because he has a history and dates and all of this. But it's not permitted to make a representation. And the reason is because God doesn't have a body. And so if your founder of your religion has a body, then it cannot be God. And in Christianity, you have the founder of Christianity with a face and a body and many depictions. You have the picture of Christ on the cross, which is the most famous one. And you have a picture of Christ having risen from the dead. He's not on the cross anymore. And he rises up into the sky. And then you have some pictures of the baby Jesus. And so now we are at the time of Christmas. So there are many scenes called the Nativity, where they show the baby Jesus getting born in a stable with his mother Mary and his father Joseph. And they are visited by shepherds and also 3 kings from the east who also are astrologers. And so they found this child by following a star in the sky, which was moving, and they followed it. But also, you know, when stars in the sky move, it's a bit difficult to follow them. So we may wonder about that. How did they follow a star? But definitely a star is the form of God. And so maybe we can speculate about that. But main thing is they were astrologers, and the astrologers would know if a very, very important soul was taking birth. And so the soul of Christ definitely extremely important because of this influence in the human world. The influence is like this. Main thing is that there are more Christians than any other religious grouping in the world. And has a very huge influence politically, socially, and in terms of philosophy and ideas. And so that's what makes the soul important. Another reason why the soul is important is because the soul is talking about the remembrance of God. So, for example, the soul of Buddha doesn't talk about God. He talks about karma and good action, but he doesn't talk about the soul. He doesn't talk about God. In Islam, there are many ideas about God, but there isn't any religion that actually gets people to love God in the way that Christianity speaks about God. And the message of Christ in 2 statements is love God with all your heart and love your neighbor, love other people as you would love yourself. This is basically the essence of Christianity. And so Shiv Baba likes this because this is what he wants. He wants people to get the idea that they need to love God. And why does he want that? Is because the soul is depleted. And the depleted soul tries to get energy from people, places, and objects. But you cannot get spiritual energy from those. You can get a little bit, but it doesn't last very long. And the energy that you can get from another human being is not only just a little, but it's also quite impure because everyone has reached a low stage. So the soul of Christ arrives on the earth in the context of the world of Abraham, which is the world of Judaism. And so Jesus was a Jew. And when he was born, so we're now celebrating Christmas. Why are we celebrating Christmas? Just to be able to take the opportunity to talk about what Shiv Baba says about the soul of Christ and the culture based in Christianity, which is also called Christendom. So it's a religion, it's also political force, and very, very influential in the world for 1,000 years. So this soul tells people you have to love God. And why do you have to love God? Because if you love God, you will get power. And so when he comes, he says, okay, I'm here. And the reason I'm here is because I will tell you the knowledge of the creator and the creation, the beginning, middle, and end of the drama, all the details of all the aspects of the Kalpa tree, the story of humanity, which is basically the story of the civilizations and the religions. And in this murli, he talks specifically about the presence of different religions in India. So we know that for the first half of the cycle, it was deity souls, the souls of the dynasty of the sun, and then the souls of the dynasty of the moon. So that makes up half the cycle, which is called the world of heaven or paradise. So the other religions do believe in heaven or paradise, but none of them can actually go there. So this is something that is new information, because all the religions who believe in heaven definitely believe that when they leave the body, they go to heaven. And Shiv Baba says, well, they can't, because there isn't any heaven at the time when they leave their bodies. And everyone, every soul has to reincarnate. The Abrahamic religions do not subscribe to the idea of reincarnation. You leave your body and you go to heaven, or you go to hell. So heaven is somewhere up and hell is somewhere down. But hell is a nasty place and heaven is a very nice place. And heaven is the reward of your good karma, and hell is the punishment for your bad karma. And Shiv Baba says, well, whatever your karma is in your subsequent birth, you will get some benefit for the good things you did, and you will be called to account for the bad things that you did. So life is a bit of good and a bit of bad, a bit of happiness, a bit of sorrow, but overall sorrow and increasing sorrow because of increasing negative karma. So when the soul of Christ comes onto the earth, which is 2,000 years before now, or we can say 2021 years before now, give or take, we don't know. But the number on the year that we write, this is December 15th, 2021, it is 2021 years since the birth of Christ. And the different religions also have different dating system, but the international dating system seems to be the Christian dating system that's been accepted totally across the world. And when Jesus is in the world physically, and when the Christ comes, it is during the time of the Roman Empire, and it involved conquering different areas, and the areas that were conquered, and even the Roman Empire, all subscribed to the belief in deities. So probably the best place to see the deities of the Western world would be Athens and the Acropolis in Athens, because their statues are there. And the names of the deities in the Greek civilizations correspond to the ones in the Roman civilization, which correspond to the ones in the Nordic civilization. And all of them, you can find correspondences with the world of Hinduism and the deities of India. So Shiv Baba says that these deities who are believed in by all of these civilizations were actual human beings who lived in India. And then when that civilization was destroyed at the time of the beginning of the Copper Age, then those people were worshipped because they were superhuman. And in the news today, there was an interesting article about how discoveries have been made of people from ancient times who have absolutely perfect bodies. And what a discovery like this tells you is that we have not been evolving, but it's been the other way, that the quality of the human body has been going down and down and down, and that there are samples of perfect human bodies that have been discovered, but also the artwork of the preparation of the statues of the deities, which is most famous with the Greek deities. There is a school of art in India which has made Indian deities very, very similar to the Greek deities, very, very perfectly beautiful bodies. And of course, they had powers, they were pure, they were special, but then all the stories about the deities indicate otherwise. And so people get confused about whether things are getting better or they're getting worse. And in fact, there's one of the sonnets of Shakespeare in which he says that, or the character represented in the sonnet says that if I would have met you 500 years ago, I don't know whether you would have been at a higher level than you are today or at a lower level. In other words, even then, 500 years ago from now, they were trying to figure out, are we progressing? Are we evolving? Or are we going down? And in the Western world, the Christian world, it's all the belief of evolution. And the Vedantic world of India also gave us the idea of evolution, that you pass through many, many species, and finally you become a wonderful human being, of which there are not very many, because the human beings of today are all calling for mercy, freedom, help from God. And so if he had sent messengers to actually represent him through the period of the Copper Age, when the religions were established, first of all, they all would have said the same message. And second of all, there wouldn't have been any need to repeat the message, because once should be enough. So he says, anyway, that is not the time for people to learn my message. That is the time for people to experience the example and the message of the founders of religion, because that's the role in the drama of the Copper Age. The major religions are set up and vast numbers of souls come down with increasing numbers. And now we have a very, very large global population. And he says, I come to carry all the souls of all the religions back to the soul world. And then he shows us an image of the soul world, which shows the souls all have their spot in the soul world. And the religions are in sections. And so every soul, it is said in the murli, your religion is to be at peace, but it's not really religion, it's dharma. What you are is a pure, peaceful, powerful, loveful, blissful being of light. That's your dharma of a soul. Then you arrive on earth in a context, and your context is cultural, and it is also the context of a political and a cultural, religious set of ideas, and so on and so forth. So this is called the religions. So in Baba's view, religions are not just set of ideas, because all of the ideas of the different religions are fairly close to each other in many ways, and a few areas where they're very different. But all of them are cultures, they are political force, they have political ways. They start off usually as kingdoms, and then they gradually decline, and it becomes ultimately tyranny, democracy, anarchy, and in the end, chaos. And so more and more you're finding the situation in different countries, different parts of the world is descending into violence, chaos, anarchy, brutality, suffering. And even though they do have religions and they do have religious ideas, but it doesn't really enable them to live in harmony. And so Shiv Baba comes at the end to finish off all their differences of opinion and all of their ideas, which are based on sense perception. And to say, you are souls, I am your father. There is a very complicated drama going on. I will tell you the philosophy of karma, and I will tell you the history and geography of mankind, for India in particular, and the larger world in general. So it's very interesting that we are able to sit here and study what he says, and as the days go by, get a clearer and clearer vision of the totality of the Creator and the creation. Om Shanti.